After making a dramatic entrance in the first Bayverse film, Barricade quickly became a mainstay in the Bayverse toyline, even in the last Bayverse film with Bumblebee. But as a character, he's been drifting a bit, being mostly relegated to a background character, if he even gets remembered at all. But today, I'm going to give my suggestion on how to use Barricade in the story. To start things off, Barricade wasn't always the police car transformer we know him today, or even a normal sized one for that matter. But he started off in G1 as a Micromaster race car. I mention this as I think this could be worked in a bit into his backstory before the war, as an evolution from the Barricade we don't know to the Barricade we do know. For example, Wiki could have started off as an illegal racer, doing all sorts of illegal races and reckless driving, but as Megatron began to grow in power, Barricade quickly became a follower and uses his speed as a courier to deliver Megatron's messages throughout Cybertron securely. Since he's lowlife, I also can see why Barricade wouldn't also take some time partaking in Chaos Gladiator arena, and maybe this is also where Barricade gains more skill and fight. This is where he would gain his familiar wheelbase weapon. Through this, Barricade would become an enforcer for Megatron, but keeping the low-ranking Decepticons in line, or else face the DJD, thus fully getting his evergreen design and more iconic police form. Here, Barricade keeps the peace like the sheriff from Robin Hood, but competent, getting protection attacks from anyone living within Decepticon territory. But Barricade isn't keeping the rebel in line. His main role before the war is keeping the Autobots off Megatron's scent until it's too late, either that be simple bait and switch, or permanently silencing anyone investigating Megatron and blaming them for any trouble that Megatron is causing. This is where Barricade's main rival will come into play, Prowl, as he and Barricade were basically playing a game of cat and mouse during the lead up to the war. This is where Barricade becoming a prominent sheriff of Nottingham comes into play. Being the lawful evil bad cop, he knows the best practices to get Megatron's illegal acts done and done in legal ways, with Prowl having to use all of his legal knowledge to prove what's happening is illegal. Sometimes Prowl wins, sometimes Barricade wins, but no matter what happens, the war still comes. As the war rages on, Barricade upgrades his body again, as his pre-war police body isn't suited to the war, and this is where Barricade gains his 07 body, though cleaned up like his 07 toy for example. And when not in the front lines of the war, Barricade continues his routine of enforcing Decepticon law, sniffing out traitors, continuing to get the protection taxes, and keeping the Decepticon riffraff in line. Going back to his rivalry with Prowl, it wouldn't change that much, outside of Barricade now openly being the bad cop instead of pretending to follow the rules like during the war. One thing I would note about how I personally see Barricade here is that he's the exact opposite of Prowl in every way. No duh, you're probably saying, but in recent years, mostly in the Marvel Cybertron trilogy and in TF1, Barricade is just a Prowl recolor, which personally doesn't fit Barricade at all. Personally, Barricade should never be a Prowl recolor. Barricade is the aggressive American pursuit police car with the top-heavy body type and embodying the bad cop character in the most in-your-face way possible, and Prowl's body type and car doesn't work. It's too heroic. They don't even add the ram in the front of the car, which would have helped making Prowl's police car feel less like Prowl and more like Barricade. But for completion's sake, here's how I would like Prowl clone Barricade to be used. At first, he's very much like Prowl, just trying to uphold the law, but then Megatron begins to rise to power, and Barricade is tasked to be the main man on the inside, but he gets converted into a Decepticon, either by the Robo Smasher, or simply he was already slipping in morals, completely stepped away when Megatron began talking about his grand plan for Cybertron, and Barricade just completely converted to becoming a full-on Decepticon. Then we go back to how I described Barricade earlier, but maybe getting his own body sooner, and with that we're at the end. What do you think on my suggestion for Barricade? Do you agree? If not, then how would you introduce Barricade into a storyline? But in any event, thank you for watching.